Grip socks are great, and now they're even better with Pure Grip Socks Pro. Better fit, moisture wicking, amazing comfort, and all the extra grip you need. Choose from 10 different colors for just $16.99 a pair at puregripsocks.com.
Yo, I wasn't ready. I don't know what to say yet. The reason why technology has become such a big part of the football boot industry is because it's being promoted as something that can enhance performance by way of footwear. And I don't think any other brand does that more than Nike. However, inside this box is easily one of the most low-tech modern-day football boots currently on the market that objectively, when it comes to certain performance characteristics, are definitely worse than their other products. However, when it comes down to what actually matters, there's an argument to be made that this is actually one of their best products and one that more people should be considering. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Nike Premier 3 in what is admittedly a very unusual navy blue, green, cream, orange, white, and black colorway. Definitely not my favorite out of all the colors they've released of these football boots, but nonetheless, it is a very low-tech product by today's standard, with a traction pattern that is less aggressive than just about anything, a sole plate that you could argue is kind of flimsy, and an upper that is lacking in overall responsiveness, retailing for $110, making them less than half the price of any of Nike's top-end mainstream products that they push on the general public. And it's also a football boot that gets no professional representation, I think more so down to the fact that Nike doesn't pay any of their athletes to wear them. And I realize all of that sounds terrible, but I'd also like to suggest to you that this might be the best pair of football boots for you, certainly if value for money is important. With the big question being, does football boot technology actually make for a better product? Or perhaps more importantly, does that football boot technology actually result in you being able to perform at a higher level? Because that is ultimately the reason why we buy into high-end modern day products. This promise of improved performance. Is it actually true? We're going to discuss that as well as go over how these fit and feel on feet. So if you're interested in learning more, please stick around. And if you're interested in a pair of Premier 3s for yourself, you can actually get them below their normal $110 retail price by way of some exclusive SR4U coupon codes by checking out the first link down below. And really quickly, like the video if you enjoy the content. Let me know your opinion down below in the comments on how much technology actually impacts performance. And if you're not subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified from all of my reviews of all the latest football boots of 2022. So first things first, we're going to focus on the word comfort, because I think that's something that's very much overlooked when it comes to picking out a pair of football boots these days. People get wrapped up in new technologies and ideas that they think are going to help them perform better, and then almost disregard comfort as like a third or fourth most important thing when it comes to getting a new pair of football boots. And honestly, comfort is the most important thing. The more comfortable your boots are, the less you're thinking about them while you're playing, the better I think you're going to play. If you're passing or receiving a ball or taking a shot and missing the net and thinking that your boots are the problem or that they feel a little bit uncomfortable, that's typically not a good mental state to be in. Nonetheless, the Nike Premier 3, there's an argument to be made, is the most comfortable football boot currently on offer from Nike. The upper features kangaroo leather through the forefoot and toe box area, which is thin, super soft, incredibly flexible. I think not enough people give leather boots a try these days or even consider them at all. The flexibility of this material and the feel that it offers on the ball truly is unmatched. There's a reason why kangaroo leather and just leather boots in general have stuck around for all these years. Through the midfoot, you're going to find a piece of leather that's actually a little bit firmer for the sake of added structure. You also have the Nike swoosh over top of that, made from a synthetic material to further add structure to the midfoot area of the upper, and then pretty much everything back from that, as well as along the sides of the lacing system where the lace holes are, is actually a synthetic material. This also includes the tongue as well as the fold over flap, which admittedly, I really wish the tongue was natural leather. I think that would make these feel that little bit more premium, but again, for $110, it's really difficult to complain. I know this barefoot sensation for better control and feel for the ball is something that everyone is pushing right now, but trust me when I say super soft, broken in leather is really unmatched when it comes to feel and certainly comfort. Which brings us to the second most important factor when picking out a new pair of football boots, and that's the fit. So many football boots have these one-piece upper constructions, and we're even seeing plenty of laceless boots these days, but the adjustability that you get and the quality of fit that can be achieved with a standard U-throat construction, meaning that there's a giant hole out of the middle with a tongue stitched at the bottom filling in the gap. It allows the upper to open up. It allows the upper to wrap around your foot once the laces are tied tight, and that makes the world of difference in terms of how comfortable the boots are going to feel, as well as the quality of the overall fit. The closer you can get that upper to wrap your foot, the better your feel is going to be for the ball, the more stable the boots are going to feel, the more custom made the boots are going to fit on your feet. And I think that's, again, something that is very much overlooked in the modern football boot industry with all these one-piece uppers that more or less have kind of a predetermined shape. Some are obviously better than others, but in general, I still think it's tough to beat a very traditional construction. The fold-over flap that they include here on the Nike Premier 3, you might love it, you might hate it. It covers the laces at the top. That's really its only purpose. Is this actually improving performance? Not necessarily. I do think it looks cool, and I like the fact that it is held down by this little Velcro piece, but as you can see, they actually give you a little cut line with a scissors symbol. So if you don't like having that fold over flap tongue, you just don't want to have that extra bulk across the top of your foot, you do have the option of cutting it off, and it's pretty much as simple as taking some scissors and getting rid of it. I did a video showing exactly how to do this. There's a couple different places you can cut. So if you're interested in doing that to your Nike Premier 3s, definitely go check that out. I'll leave a pop-up on screen. Moving to the rear, once again, you aren't going to find anything fancy here. It's a standard low-cut construction, which fits and feels really good. You have an internal plastic heel counter that's nice and solid. The heel lining material is this really soft microfiber with what I would argue is the perfect amount of padding, and the insole is fully removable, and you can see features a mesh liner on the surface and then is made from a single layer of this ortholite foam. Nothing fancy, but considering the $110 price point, that's pretty much better than anything else within $50 of these. Which brings us to the base, where once again the Nike Premier 3 keeps things very simple. It's a one-piece plastic construction, all one type of material, and as far as modern day football boot sole plates go, these feel very, very flexible. It moves very naturally with your foot, so if you're expecting that spring back effect that's being pushed in speed boots specifically, you're not getting any of that with these, which I don't think necessarily translates into better or worse performance. It's more so a feel thing, and I think when you pair that up with the super soft leather upper that they've gone for here, it just makes these feel, once they're broken in, like a pair of leather slippers, which is definitely not a bad thing. As far as the stud pattern is concerned, this is their FG layout, and I would say the main difference between these and everything else on offer from Nike is how aggressive this stud pattern is. The studs themselves all being rounded in shape mean that they kind of favor more of a pivoting motion rather than kind of digging into the ground really aggressively. Not to say that they provide poor traction, but definitely not as much bite when pushing off as something with a more bladed style studs, including the Tiempos, and that is also down to the fact that these FG studs are definitely shorter than everything else from Nike, and I would say the average pair of FG football boots from almost any brand these days, which makes this better suited for a slightly harder playing surface, but again, it's totally down to personal preference. If you are after as much bite as possible, this might not be the stud pattern for you, but in terms of stability and that freedom to twist and pivot, this is arguably one of the best ones out there. Which brings us to the weight, where I thought it'd be fun to compare the Premier 3 to something kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum. I have here the Adidas Predator Edge Plus, laceless, covered in rubber elements, tungsten weight strategically positioned for extra power. It's a football boot that is technology first in every single way, but does that translate into a lighter overall product? I think if you were just looking at the two, most people would guess that this much more modern design would weigh significantly less, but both in the same size 9.5 US. We'll start off with the Preds. You can see that they weigh in at 9.3 ounces, the equivalent of 263 grams. Change that scale back to ounces, remember those numbers, and we'll throw on the Nike Premier 3. They weigh in at 8.95 ounces, the equivalent of 254 grams. So, not by a lot, but still, you can see it on the scale, the Nike Premier 3 is technically lighter. And of course, Are there lighter boots than the Nike Premier 3? Absolutely. I cherry picked these as an example because I knew they actually weighed more, but at the same time, people don't buy this boot and think, wow, they're really heavy, where I think people do look at a boot like this and automatically assume they're way too heavy for them to perform well in. On feet, there's definitely something to be said about a simple pair of football boots and how well they can fit along with how comfortable they can be. The kangaroo leather and leather through the midfoot in general just makes for a really soft feel to the upper. The sole plate being as flexible as it is means that there's really not much to break in terms of the underfoot feel of the boot. It just moves really nicely with your foot. And I've also been a big believer in having a more flexible sole plate resulting in better overall traction because you're going to have more studs underneath your feet the more the sole plate is able to flex along with your foot. The central lacing system and standalone tongue also allows for plenty of adjustability. They're refreshingly easy to put on and take off compared to all these one-piece uppers that are out there right now. And from a fit perspective, when it comes to width, it just allows the upper to open up and then close up once you tie the laces. So for most people, even if you do have wide feet, these should fit really, really well. And then when it comes to sizing, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So if you're looking to order a pair for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So in conclusion, is the Nike Premier 3 as good as the other top-end options from the Nike brand? Objectively, I would still argue no, but when it comes to the reality of what a football boot does and how much it can actually help you, these are pretty much on the same level as just about anything high-end. But that's just me. You might be a little bit different. And 10 years ago, I don't think I would have had the same opinion. While objective performance can definitely differ from one boot to the next, it's kind of down to you and your own personal preferences and what gives you confidence. If you like the feel of a pair of light boots and that's gonna make you feel like you're a little bit quicker, then I definitely think there's benefit to wearing lighter weight football boots. But if you're just buying into this high-tech concept without really believing in it, I almost think you'd be better off saving well over $100 and going for something like a Nike Premier 3. Objectively, they're not as good as almost any top-end modern football boot, but in reality, they're as good as just about anything.